Alex, my videographer, building a $1 million home with $0 out of pocket upon starting the complete construction. And today we're gonna go over exactly how that worked, how that laid out, number by number, the term sheets, the comps, the spreadsheet, and the entire lending package for you to better understand exactly how lending works for investment lending versus conforming lending, to better go out and capitalize on ground up builds. When you buy land, you build houses, and you take advantage of what and how the banks actually structure lending for ground up construction. All right, the biggest thing, Alec, is that now that we got the term sheet, one thing that I want people to understand is that these spreadsheets are crucial. And so, as you knew, and you got nervous with it, when we did the initial one, your entire budget, including land, build cost, soft costs, everything was $660,000. That's our real cost. That's our real cost. And then for the sake of understanding like how you presented that number into your spreadsheet, I know that some of them were fixed costs with land and some stuff you had already paid for, but how about the unforeseen variables of stuff that we didn't pay for? All the lumber, all the framing, the electrical, the plumbing. How'd you get those numbers?
Bids from actual subcontractors.
So what I had told Alex, I said, look, once you have a set of prints, once you have an actual set of prints, you can go back and you can get actual numbers from subcontractors. That produces the real numbers on your actual spreadsheet. Now, we go in advance, and before we even get started on any of this stuff, we need to know that we have a winning area. So we get comps. And so the comps in the area that we went were on older homes. There wasn't a lot of new builds in the areas except for one. So we knew we had proof of concept with one home. So we looked at the home. We knew what was the potential was, but we didn't underwrite based on the potential. We underwrote based on how the banks were going to look at it. We knew that we had an area where the house could potentially sell for $1 million or just over $1 million, but comps only showed values selling for high 800s, low 900s. And so when we went in, I told Alec, we can't go in and over budget on our sheets, because when we get the term sheets, if we do, we're going to land up compromised on our overall budget, costing us more money at the bank at closing. So there's a fine finesse that we have to do. So once we go in and we know what our appraised value is going to come in at based on like properties in the area, we go in and we stay conservative, but we need to know that we have enough equity to be able to go in and fill the gap. So what we landed up doing was we knew the comps were going to come in someplace right around that 800 to 900,000, somewhere in between 8 and 900 grand. And so we went in and we comped the entire property off based on that. Now, Alex's original budget was almost, what did you almost have? Almost $1 million, right?
Yeah, it was somewhere a little bit closer to 900 grand is what we had it at, and then we cut it down to the 799.
So the problem with it, he had it maxed out at the full potential of what the comps were going to bring in. And the problem with that is that the appraiser is going to be a little bit conservative. And if it's over that, the difference between what it didn't appraise for and what his budget is, he's going to have to bring to the table in regards to proceed amount. And so when I looked at it, I looked at the comps and I looked at his budget sheet. I looked at the comps, I looked at his budget sheet. And I said, okay, Alec, let's get this thing closer to 800. Now I did a dividend of the 660 because what happens is I need to know that I can meet that 660 based on the terms of the loan. Now, Alec's terms on his loan was 90% for all construction costs and 70% for the land, but we didn't come out of pocket for the land at all. And so what we landed up doing was we took 70% of the land, that's going to be our proceed amount, and we took 90% of the entire construction cost, and then we reversed into it, and then I divided that number out to make sure I was going to hit that baseline of $660,000 that we need.
I know you're enjoying the content, but I'm sitting here in sunny Cancun in the middle of December, and the way I got here is from almost 3 decades with ground up construction, buying land, building houses, scaling into commercial real estate, warehouses, going into multifamily. And right now, the largest profits in real estate lie in the small commercial investments, small multifamily. You want to learn how to buy a piece of land, take down a house? You want to learn how to buy a piece of land and take down small multifamily? That lies the largest profitability today, then click and set up a call with my team so we can share with you what a community of thousands of people nationwide are already working with us doing. But what I've been doing for almost 3 decades and I'm still doing every single day, except for when I'm on the beach. And the reality is, I'm not just on the beach, I'm actually still building while I sit here on the beach right off my phone. Click and book your call, and I can't wait to talk with you.
Now, once we knew we were able to do that, we went into the lender and we provided them all of that information. So when we came in, our term sheets came in with an appraised value of $924,000. So we have $924,000 on his term sheet. Okay, the term sheet's going to tell us if, before we close, if we've hit the numbers. If the term sheet didn't hit the numbers, when we hand in our actual budget sheet, we tell the bank, this is our preliminary numbers. We don't tell them it's our final numbers, so it's our preliminary numbers. We know we're going to be close. We just don't know how close. And we did have to do a little bit of work. The lender came back to you, what, 2 or 3 times?
Two times, really. The biggest hurdle was they had their own budget spreadsheet that it had to be put out on based on their lending guidelines, and so we just had to adjust what we had a little bit to it to fit within it. But for the most part, I think there were only probably 2 adjustments that we had to make according to that. Certain buckets were too high, more stuff like that, but the lender was really professional working with us and knowing exactly what we were doing.
Yep. And so my spreadsheets are extremely extravagant. They're very, very involved, very, very in-depth. And the reason why is I don't want anybody to ever miss any bullet point, and I want to make sure those budget points get hit. But you can go down to any local bank, any local credit union that does construction lending, and they have their own spreadsheets, and you can get their spreadsheets. Their spreadsheets are not as sophisticated, not as involved, and not as in-depth as mine is. And so what Alec had to do is he had to combine buckets. And so just so you guys know, those buckets are payable line items. Those buckets are what lands up paying for the overall land, the soft costs, and the overall build and construction of the actual house. Now, when we went in, we had an appraised value of $924,000. They were only going to give us 70% of the land, 90% of the build cost. So he came in with a preliminary value before the math of $719,000. After the appraisal came in, it was perfect because it actually dropped $20,000 in proceed amount. So it dropped down to $693,000. Alec only needed $660,000. So 660, 70, 80, 90. So he was $33,000 over what he needs in order to get the build done. So he has $33,000 in excess proceeds that he's not going to need and not going to utilize, but he has it there in case he needs it for contingency reasons. But because the spreadsheet has contingencies already built in it with the 660, he shouldn't need any of that stuff. In fact, he should have about $40,000 left over at the end of construction based on our budget financing that we have on the spreadsheet. So what's cool is that now we take the appraised value that we did in the field early. Okay, we reversed into it with our actual house that we were going to build to fit the comps in the area. We take that, we put it all on paper, make it tangible. Once we put it on paper, we put it out to bid. Once we put that product out to bid, we get numbers back. Now, based on those numbers, we're able to put our real spreadsheet together, which was 660. Then we go out and we take the original comps. With those original comps, we do a dividend of the terms that the bank actually gave to us. Now, based on the terms that the bank actually gave to us, we divide out the proceed amount based on comps that we feel the bank is going to give to us, and we're usually within a margin of error. It's never going to be perfect. We don't know exactly what the appraised value is going to come at it. We don't know what properties they're going to select and pick, but we know that we've already looked at the exact same properties, and within threshold of reasonability, the proceeds are either going to be slightly more or slightly less. We need to have a buffer in there. Then we take that value and we put it down on a second spreadsheet. That second spreadsheet is going to be the retail value. That retail value is now going to go to the bank. The bank is going to go in and they're going to evaluate it. You're going to put it on their spreadsheet, and now they're going to do their proceed draws based on their term sheet, which is 70% for the land, 90% for the actual build cost. But the overall proceed amount covers the land, covers the build cost, covers everything, soft costs. In fact, at the very first draw, Alec's going to get 100% of all his soft cost money back because it's actually on the spreadsheet as a draw item. And because it's on there, he can legally reimburse himself for it. Because the entire land amount is on there, they're going to legally pay for the land at closing. They're just going to reduce our proceed amount by the difference of what the overall cost of the land is, which is 30%. And so that 30% has to be made up someplace. And that 30% is what Alec had to show in actual liquidity in order to be able to get the land done, just so they know he has it on the back end. But he doesn't need it on the back end because it's already built into his spreadsheet. And so the biggest thing for people that are coming in, looking at lending and trying to understand how this actually works, in a nutshell, that is the way the spreadsheets, the bank, the lending, the term sheets, the comps, and all of what we do comes together to have the bank pay for the land, Pay for the build, pay for your soft cost, and ultimately, Alec will be $0 out of pocket to build himself a $1 million home. For more content exactly like this, to go through the entire process of entitlement, the entire process of ground-up construction in both residential and multifamily, click and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you pound that thumbs up button, give us a little bit of love, and then comment down below what you're in need of to be able to go out, buy land, build houses. Let us know your questions. Give us a little bit of feedback on what you're in need of so we can help you straddle the gap of success in ground-up construction. Let's buy land, let's build houses, and let's go ground up. And until next time, go out and compound your success.